Why is the jury laughing?
Zero chance of winning the game.
Supposed to talk glamour to you.
My grandmother's sitting home watching Jerry Springer.
Lee, is there any way I could have your jacket?
Welcome back to Survivor Breakfast, boys. We are talking season 44, episode 10 here. Sadly, we lost Franny, one of the best challenge players in recent memory, besides maybe Jonathan. But Jonathan couldn't even really do solo challenges. We lost Franny, unfortunately, tonight. I think her threat just went a little too high. But I want to ask you guys first, what's your high-level thoughts on the episode? Toast, I'll throw it to you to start with.
I think that this is the first time that any of the three of us have picked somebody to win, and they've gone home. I mean, Simi, you picked
This season?
This season.
Yeah.
Like
you're coming from blood from the start here.
right away. Yeah, I'm going for broke. Because Simi recently said Franny's going to be the winner at the last time we got together, and
You got me. And you know what?
yeah, you suck.
Nothing I can really say.
yeah, you suck. All right, Cal, what do you think?
I from Franny's standpoint, I was ready if she had won the immunity challenge as well. I was ready to say it was going to be one of the more underrated. You know, we had this situation just a couple seasons ago where Jonathan and Lindsay, the two of them, were dominating challenges, and I brought it up a couple episodes ago. It seems like it could be a kind of a similar situation if she were to win. And I thought she was tracking on the way to win. But what we have to realize is when it comes to puzzles, Carson is going to be dangerous.
Dude, watching him do the puzzle this episode was so cool. He's so calm. He's breathing even. He's not panicking, and he's just doing his thing.
He's destroyed puzzles all season long.
He's such a good puzzle guy.
Do you think it's because he built something like this, or do you think he also?
No, I haven't seen this one, or at least not in a while.
Yeah,
they've done it. That's the thing too. I feel like the person who's inclined to then 3D print all of the puzzles also happens to be good at puzzles. You know what I mean? Like if they're like, yeah, exactly. So but yeah, he killed it. You're right. He remained calm. I mean, he caught up. There was a bit of a lead that Danny had, which looked really cool from the aerial view. I mean, he was 2 sand bumps
really
ahead of the rest.
Well, he's been doing this every single challenge. It's like, oh, Danny's doing something crazy. He started what did he do in the reward challenge? He came off the spinning and he starts dancing across the
rolled over the net.
Oh, he rolled. He did a somersault. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Well, even the balance beam, he was like on his stomach, like
but he's going nuts in the beginning of it. But he must struggle with puzzles as a juxtaposition because he's brutal. He's not. He can't win a challenge to save his life at the end. He can't close.
Yeah, it's the closing. It's the clutch.
It's pretty tough because on paper you'd be like, oh, he's got to be great at.
Well, he is. He's in every one, but he cannot close a challenge.
Yeah, he can't finish him out.
He did get his way here, though. He got his way.
Who Danny did in the end?
In the end, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll break this down about who exactly got their way. Because it's still the Carson and Jam Jam show, in my opinion.
Of course,
at least today. But this is the line in the sand. It's every season there is a turning point where a catalyst, someone gets fed up with something and they really mark their territory. I think Carolyn now at this point is fed up, and now this is where this is all going to turn now. The whole game's going to turn on its head.
I think this was one vote too far to leave her out of. But there was no convincing her. There was no flipping her to get her to vote.
Oh, that's one of her struggles. That's one of her struggles.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to then take out. I feel like the strategic. So just to break down, I think certain people's motivations. I think that Danny views Franny as a limitation towards his own chances at immunity. I think that that's like his motivation, right? Because they were aligned. They were on the same tribe. They shared common interests. And then now it seems like, oh, we got to get rid of Franny. And it makes sense because every immunity that Franny wins is an immunity that everybody else loses, right? So like to get her out of the way, Danny now thinks, okay, like I'm going to start winning them. I think Carson and Jam Jam, on the other hand, they viewed Franny as a potential detriment to bring Carolyn to her side.
Absolutely.
And so what you do in this scenario, it makes sense. Get rid of the person who is getting closer to your ally, right? But you always run this risk, right? You assume, okay, that person will then have to rely on you, Jam Jen and Carson are like,
the Tony Sarah situation.
correct. Yeah, voting out Sophie, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's Tony basically banked on the fact that Sarah would forgive him, which, by the way,
Yep.
it was a little unclear at that point whether or not she would, because she was very angry. She was very angry.
Very.
And you kind of have to say, hey, listen, you have nowhere to go, and do it in a way that's nice enough that they don't feel like I'm going to blow up my own game because I'm so mad at you, So it's a delicate tightrope, right, to walk. But I think that it's sound. Like, I think it makes sense for them to have done that. And it just so happened that multiple people's motivations aligned, and there you go. Perfect storm.
Yeah. I think what's probably going to come to fruition from that preview a little bit, though, is a little bit of Jam Jam's comment when Carson was like, we got to bring her back into the fold. And Jam Jam's like, are we going to push her even farther away by voting out Franny? And that might happen next week. I thought they did a really great job, honestly, of kind of making it not clear going into the tribal exactly who was going to go home. I was like, I still think it's going to be Franny, but like it was anybody's.
Yeah, it was
vote,
pandemonium.
honestly. It honestly was chaos. I mean, that goes to show that 3 different people got votes for themselves. That's always a good indication that there's some chaos going on. But I thought they did a great job with that. I love going into a tribal and being like, I have no idea who it's gonna be, but yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. At the end of the day, every single episode, we're coming away and we're having this debate because there was at one point during this episode, if Carolyn was able to flip this vote, I was ready to come in here and eat some crow. I really was. I really was, because before the vote happened too, I was ready to rewind because I wanted to come in with ammunition. I wanted to make sure who exactly said Heidi's name because I didn't think Carolyn was the.
It was Lauren. It was
yeah,
Lauren.
that's what I thought. So
Yeah.
I was ready to rewind back. I was gonna
If it
come
went
in
that
with-
way,
Yes,
I knew it was Lauren. Though. Don't worry.
I was ready to rock and roll, but it didn't. And listen, we'll break it down a little bit more, but I think Carolyn's only chance is this idol, and somehow, some way, she plays this idol where she does a brilliant move.
It's secret. I mean, it is secret right now. Nobody
no
knows.
doubt, no
It's
doubt.
her and Heidi. Those are the only people with secrets left.
Yeah.
No, no doubt. And Carolyn, I'll give her kudos because it's who she is as a player and as a person throughout this game, which has led to it being more of a secret, which is everything you've been pointing to this entire time. But she can't sway a soul.
I think she's going to be able to sway Franny on the jury right now. If it comes down to it, I think
Okay.
if it goes right now, Franny's voting for Carolyn. That's one vote.
I just don't
No.
see Franny pulling the rest of the crew in
No,
Ponderosa.
Franny's voting.
pulling at least
Franny's
one.
voting Carolyn for what?
For winner.
No, but for she's done nothing. I don't think she.
It doesn't-
if
it
Final
doesn't
Tribal was
matter.
tomorrow, you're saying that Franny's giving Carolyn her vote?
Correct. Yes,
No.
I am.
Franny's.
I don't know if I agree
And
with that.
Maddie's
No.
is coming with
I think
it.
Franny's too
I agree that
analytical for
Maddie and Franny are probably voting for the same person. I'll agree with you on that.
Is
point.
Maddie happy or not happy that Franny got voted out? What do we think?
I think he's happy. I think
No,
he's
let's be
happy.
honest, right? I think he's probably
No,
like there's a
Ponderosa
part
is
of
going to be
him.
fun. Ponderosa is
To
going to be
hang out
fun.
with
Let's just
Ponderosa
be
yeah.
on a
real.
beautiful island
Yeah.
and fall in love with this woman.
Yeah, exactly. It's vacation
Ponderosa
now.
is
It's
Dating
gonna
in
be
great.
real life
fun.
now. Matt
Yeah.
and Franny are dating.
Oh,
It's
really?
official.
Okay.
Yeah.
News to me. Well, I mean, I believe it.
I saw it on Google News a few weeks ago.
Mm.
Yeah. Very
Trusted.
exciting stuff.
Yeah, get the saxophone out at
Look,
Yeah, I'm with you,
Ponderosa.
Cal. Ponderosa is a honeymoon right now.
Yeah, they're loving it. One thing
Basically,
They
I
can
did wanna-
booze there, can't they? Can't they booze?
Yeah,
there?
they of course. I'm
they're
my
boozing.
point is, Maddie, if you were happy, I don't blame you. That's what I'm trying to say. It's fine to be happy.
yeah. I mean,
Oh, and
I think he was rooting for it too.
Yeah,
They
of
showed
course,
him
but
turn his
still.
head away and like be.
And then they
sad.
showed him smile.
Yeah.
And then he smiled.
She gets to go back to Ponderosa. He gets to comfort her.
Yeah.
I'm all pumped for him. One thing that I did want to talk about this episode, I want to get your guys' view on, is because last week we talked about it being not a great week for Danny and making himself out to be more than a villain than he had to be, kind of thing. And I don't know that he necessarily helped himself in that regard in this episode, but we do keep seeing him, get the target on his back, and then the target leaves his back, and then he keeps getting his way. And it just keeps happening. Like, is this a sign for him to keep going forward? Do you think that,
No,
he has enough of the skill to push through?
I
'Cause
view-
we gave
I
him a
view this-
0% chance basically last week.
I view this chance. I don't know if did I give him a I don't know if I gave him a 0.
We gave him very low last week.
To
if I
me,
remember
whatever
correctly.
I gave him, I think it was a tangible number. I actually see it decreasing this episode.
I gave him a precise, exact number last week.
Whatever it was, I decrease it this episode. To be honest,
Oh, you
because
decrease it.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Well, he's
at
gonna
the
win
end of
more
the-
immunities probably.
He hasn't won one. He hasn't
Yeah,
won
he
one
hasn't.
yet.
With Franny out of the picture, that's a big.
I know, but
challenge
the
to get out
guy
of your way.
can't close.
Yeah,
The guy
and
can't
Carson
close.
is a new foe. That is.
It depends if we see more puzzles though. 'cause
I don't think
Carson only
Danny's
comes
gonna.
in with the puzzles.
You're gonna assume that puzzles are gonna be in play,
Yeah, of course. That's the safest
Not all of
assumption
them,
there.
no? I think
unless
there's
it's a
lot more of these
balancing.
balance guys.
Franny moving out of the way on a balance. I think none of the rest of them really can balance.
The
other
balance
than,
and the endurance ones. without Franny
Lauren
there,
has
he's got it.
Lauren could balance in that one that he beat
Sure,
that she
sure,
beat
sure,
him
sure.
in.
Yeah, you're right.
But no, I'm with you. I think Carolyn, Jam, Jamie are pretty non-existent, and Heidi really have been non-existent in any of the challenges at all, to be honest.
No.
So I do think it clears the path for him to win. But those challenges. But Jam and Carson, they end up getting to lay claim to this more than Danny does. Yes, it was
Of
Danny
course.
at the forefront, but this doesn't get executed without Jam and Carson.
Yes.
And at the end of the day,
Agreed.
as long as they can sit there and say execution does not happen unless it flows through us, I think
Yeah.
both of them are smart
Yeah.
enough to speak about this at final.
I agree.
Danny doesn't have a claim to any of this.
No,
stuff.
and the beauty of this is that we know that the way that Danny operates is that he believes that this was entirely his move. And I think that that's going to become more and more apparent in his behavior. Like, I think that he
Interesting.
thinks that he's dictating it. And to an extent, he is guiding the way that the vote is going. I mean, we did see Lauren and Danny vote together at the same time for the first time, right? But like, it really is, Kale, you're right, operating through Jam and Carson. This doesn't work without them. But I think it's good for the two of them too that they're behind the scenes, because now it's going to go to Danny's head and Danny's going to keep pushing forward. And I think he hasn't had any resistance yet, and not due to any reason that he can own himself, but just because motivations have aligned coincidentally here.
Yeah, but but let me ask you this as a follow-up to your question, Sim. Why did they just not vote Danny?
Yeah.
That's a really good question, and I don't know that I necessarily.
I
know the
think
answer.
his threat level is diminished. That's why.
Oh, you think
that's
so?
my thought. That's my thought process. I mean, other than, I don't know. I like they
I-
brought up
to
Heidi
me-
as the side vote. Maybe it was just something fresh and new to think about, and that's what Carolyn's plea was to Jam and to Carson. But
I
But
think.
who-
I really think though that I think they were taking the Franny pulling Carolyn threat very seriously. I really do. I think
Oh,
that's the
absolutely.
reason why
No,
they did that.
we all
I think
agree
otherwise they
on
would have
those.
been- I think otherwise they probably would have been voting Danny. Although there was the weird kind of obsession with Jamie this episode that felt very weird.
this
I know
thing has
that
been going on.
They
all
think
season.
she has that idol, but I think everybody was just pissed that they thought that she lied to them.
Yeah.
They were just like, you know what?
This is also just
Side
just
note,
to
but-
no, it's
go
okay.
ahead.
Sorry. I always rag on Jamie. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like,
No, but
here
no,
we
I'm
go.
just saying
Batter
I
up.
don't
mean, it's
understand her
T-ball here.
edit.
That's the
I
edit
don't
she's
under-
getting though.
Her edit
She's getting
has
edit
to be
to rag
final
on her.
tribal. No, her edit has
I
to be
don't
final
know.
tribal.
It might. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. But
Dude,
I
they're making
wanted
Rap
to-
be. I'd be pissed if I got this edit.
yeah, of course.
I'd be like,
No,
I look like an idiot.
that's
Stop,
I that's you saying that. I'm not saying that. But regardless,
Every time they make her do something somebody's
she
talking
can't
about
win.
her.
She can't win. It's
can't
it's
win.
the wrong interpretation, the wrong move.
Yeah.
She's upset. She should be happy. She's
This-
not going to embarrass
I would
herself
love
because
to
she's
see
not
the
going to play.
speech she makes, though. I
But
would love to see the speech she
this
makes.
is I think like one of those like very subtle points about what makes a good Survivor player, and we're going to use Jamie as the example of what that isn't. But in this scenario, right? Good Survivor players can tell a good lie, right? Like you can convince somebody to do something on false means, or you can convince them that it's beneficial for them when it's not, right? Or you can outright lie and it gets believed, right?
Yeah.
I think a real good mark of a good Survivor player is also being able to tell the truth and have that be believed. Because
It is hard to be
this is a
convincing to
problem.
tell the pure truth.
Exactly. When you're telling the truth, it needs to be accepted as the truth. Jamie is like, "Oh, I'm so relieved I did this whole thing," and it was not accepted as the truth. And like an example, we already talked about Tony, right? Tony in Cagayan goes to the other beach and gives Jeremiah, I think, like a fake clue to an immunity idol, and everyone and it's not real, and everyone thinks Jeremiah is wrong. Like Jeremiah tries to defend himself, but no, Tony, it was a real clue. I mean, Spencer believes it, Tasha believes it, they all believe Tony. And then you look at Winners at War and the famous Sophie Blindside that we just talked about. Like he goes up to Jeremy and he's like, "This is what's happening tonight, and you have to vote this way because it's actually going to happen." And it did happen. You know what I mean? And to be able to convince people in both directions is really a major, like, I think a big key to someone who's good at Survivor.
I think we see a lot of other examples of that in the past couple of seasons with things like Shipwheel Island, where people come back and it's like there are a lot of people who tell the truth and they're like,
And they
I
get,
didn't get an advantage, or I lost my vote or whatever. And
yes.
there's some times where people are like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And some people are like, yeah, all right, sure, dude.
Yeah.
And it's,
Exactly.
I think it's a sense of like, what's the word? Like authenticity about yourself
Yeah.
that allows you to tell the truth like
Well,
that.
it's also
or
having
tell a
cash.
lie
It's
and-
also having cachet and having clout with everybody else. To be
Yeah.
honest.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Listen, I tonight's vote was interesting because Heidi ends up voting Danny in
Yeah.
the votes.
Also a bad
Leads-
sign for Danny, by the way.
Well, regardless of that, it leads me to believe that Heidi really was down to jump ship. She really was turned off when they had that real big sticking point in the episode where Danny comes up to her and goes, I don't need you as a
Yeah.
Did he freeze for you?
Yeah, he froze for me too. I just
Oh,
was
that's
waiting
fine.
for
All
you.
right. Well, we can keep talking. Yeah, it was interesting that Heidi went for Danny because
I don't
she
think
was
it
part-
bodes well because everybody else had different motivations, right? And that's
Yeah.
fair, like we discussed. But to have the person that you perceive as your number one ally continually betray you, which is what's happening with Danny. Heidi has betrayed Danny like 3 episodes in a row.
But here's the thing, though, is I think it's worse for Heidi because Heidi didn't get included in the girls' conversation about voting for Heidi,
Yeah, which is bad.
and now she's voted for Danny. Danny's not gonna like that. Whether or not he can determine whether that was her.
It's
her-
bad all around. It's sloppy.
I think it's really bad for Heidi, honestly. I think it's worse for her than it is for Danny. Danny, Danny could be in a position where he plays Lauren as an ally for the rest of the game. I don't
Yeah,
think
we
that's
don't know.
unreasonable. I think that's probably his best move. So I don't know. To me, this feels way worse for Heidi.
It's bad
than
for
it does
both.
Danny.
It's bad for both. I mean,
Agreed. But it feels
Heidi, yeah, it
much
feels worse for Heidi.
than for Danny.
But
for me.
the point that I'm trying to make about how it reflects on Danny is that everybody was voting with Danny today, not because they were aligned with Danny. That it was just that their interests were aligned with Danny's interests.
yeah,
And then
I
the
think
one
this is a really
person
good
that
point.
the one person that I'm thinking may have Danny's back, although she continues to betray him by exposing his idol to the wrong people, by doing
Mhm.
talking bad about him, and then also outright overtly voting for him this week. The only person that I thought maybe still on his side, just because of being in alliance, was Heidi, and the fact that Heidi went against
Yeah,
him is
Look, and I agree, it's not great. But the one thing I will say is, I feel like that is kind of the game that Danny's playing. He's playing a very loose, flexible game, and he's willing to go with the person who is, the most opportunistic and who's motivations align with his for that given week.
Yeah, but we
I
don't
think
know
your
how
point-
he's gonna. We don't know how he's gonna bend and sway when somebody else gives him an idea that he's not necessarily keen on. Meaning, like, okay, let's say that somebody.
challenge
Let's say, well,
much.
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. What if Lauren
Yeah,
comes up
and
and says, "Hey, let's do this," and Danny's like, "It's not the worst plan, but I don't want to do it." Right? If it's something that doesn't affect him negatively, is he still going to go through with it? Let somebody else have their day? I don't know. That's what we
I don't
haven't
know
seen.
either. I don't know either. And I think your point from earlier about Danny is really important, and I think it's really interesting. He is going to think that this vote was him,
Yeah.
even though he's getting false data back. He's getting
Correct.
false feedback of like,
Yeah.
oh, I wanted Franny to go.
Yeah.
Franny went. It must have been me.
Yeah.
But really,
It's a
there was
broken
two
clock, right?
switches in between there. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. The broken clock is wrong twice a day or whatever.
Right twice a
yeah.
day. Wrong the rest.
It's wrong at least twice the rest of the day. But I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, how he does that, because we have seen that bite people, if
Yeah.
he ever got to the final three, we have seen that bite people in speeches where you say, hey, I led
Yes.
this vote, and this vote. And people are like, that one in the middle, you actually didn't do that at all, actually.
Yeah. And then it
And then
turns
it
out that
invalidates
you're
all the other votes that they mention.
exactly. And then it turns out in that moment that you try to take credit for something, which happened to Cassidy last season.
Yep.
You're now actually the only outsider on this inside joke that the entire jury has, knowing that you were going to claim something that everybody else knew was not your thing.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's justified in the case of Cassidy is maybe, I don't know. I'm still a little bit.
Yeah, that one,
But in this case, I
say-
think in this case, if Danny went up against Jam Jam's word or Carson's word, I don't think that they would be so ready to relinquish the credit for this decision.
I agree. And I will say, from my position, it feels like if you get caught in one of those scenarios with the jury on your final tribal speech, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. If the jury feels that way, it feels like it's almost always a death sentence for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as soon as you are like contradicting what the jury believes, they're
Mhm.
like, oh, they're totally out of whack.
Yeah.
I can't trust anything that they're telling me.
Exactly. And you lose
All your
credibility.
credibility goes
Yeah.
out the window. And so it's like, you're screwed at that point.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I don't know the answer for that. Who do we think has like a real shot here? Like, to me, it's like Carson, Jam Jam have
Yeah.
great shots. I do think that Danny, if he made the right speech, could have an argument in a final tribal. I don't know if he could against a Jam Jam or a Carson.
I think
but, in a
Danny's main
vacuum.
problem is getting there. I think that the fewer
Agreed.
heads there are, like, I think people would turn on Danny pretty readily. I think that in this scenario, it was just like Franny's right there. She didn't win immunity, and it benefited the people who were actually making the decisions. I think
Yeah.
they think they can get Danny out whenever they need to. I think that a lot of people have soured on him. But yeah, I think if he gets to the end, of course he has a decent he has a shot at it. It's just about
Yeah.
getting to the end.
Does Heidi have an argument if she's in the final three? Does she have it? What does she even talk about?
I don't know if she has an argument. I don't think it's a good argument. I mean, I think that she's going to try to disconnect herself with everything that Danny's trying to do. And I think that, yeah, she put her money where her mouth was tonight, where she voted for Danny. But in reality, I don't think that people are going to be able to like take her for her word that she was acting independently. She did tonight, ironically, but I don't think it was a good move
that's not a
to
good
act
sign.
independently here,
Yeah.
But I'm all for Tika 3. I mean, my thoughts on Carolyn. I think that she's coming, like there's something brewing. I know that there's
Mhm.
something brewing.
There's a storm on the horizon.
And Kale, he might take it not really fully seriously, but the relationship that Franny and Carolyn had was real. And Franny had a really good confessional saying, I'm like, what's the word? Like, she was like very like, she not idolized, like that's not the right word. She like revered in a
I
way.
think
She had
was. She was
reverence.
looking up to Carolyn. And being like,
Correct.
this
Yeah.
this woman is so
Comfortable.
herself. I want
Yeah,
to be
and
more like that.
authentic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't see why Franny wouldn't vote for somebody with authenticity. I think that she values what Carolyn is bringing to the table. So when I say I think Franny's voting for Carolyn, I'm not making a joke. Like
Yeah,
I
I'm
am
not
saying
so-
that is
I'm not
what's
so
going to happen.
convinced. I don't know. Franny gives me. I mean, she even said in this episode she's a test taker. She gives me, by the book vibes where she's gonna be like, who is the best? I don't think she's gonna let her emotions, ride that decision as much as she might need to vote for Carolyn.
No, but I'm saying that she might actually be able to find a very logical, strategic way to vote for Carolyn, not necessarily emotional.
Maybe it depends on who she's up against, of course.
I'm saying
but-
like I'm saying if which is what we see based on what she says. If she values authenticity and she looks to Carolyn as somebody that, with reverence and respect, which is something that Kale keeps saying that Carolyn does not have, right?
yeah,
I don't see why she can't vote for her not out of emotions, but purely on who she is as a person.
potentially.
Logically,
I just
I'm
I just
saying.
see her sitting on gameplay a lot harder. And maybe she
Yeah.
could get herself
May-
there.
I don't know.
From
I'm
even
just-
a gameplay perspective. Who knows?
But other than other than those people that we just discussed, I don't really see a path for most people. I mean, Lauren doesn't really have that great of an edit for a winner, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
I don't know. I don't know when this, the other shoe is going to drop with Lauren, but she hasn't given us enough strategy talk. She hasn't given us enough. This is my perspective on how people are behaving. This is my strategy moving forward. We don't really get the game through her perspective. Not that that's like, disqualifying by any means, but it would just be a little bit like, I don't really know. I wish we heard more from her. I think Jamie has no chance, unfortunately. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think so either.
no matter what she does, she can't get out of her own way, and some of it is not even her own fault. It's just like bad circumstance, bad luck. I mean, today something that I thought was really funny was she like made a big show at the jury, right at Tribal, and said,
Mhm.
"Here's the story with my idol." After having individually and in a group talked with every person on the beach about it,
Yeah.
she makes a scene about
Welcome
it.
back,
Oh,
Kale.
Kale, welcome back. You can hop in right here.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
gentlemen,
What do you think, Kale?
I'm so sorry. I'm so
No
very
worries,
sorry.
dude.
I had my computer completely just said no to the internet there.
Well,
Go
Hop
ahead.
right in here. What I'm
what'd you
talking
say?
about is what I'm talking about, the scene at Tribal when Jamie feels the need to then explain to everybody at Tribal after already having explained to them on the beach about the idol situation, how it got voted out in Kane's pocket. And she makes like this gesture towards Kane, and Kane is like dead
Stone faced. dude.
stoic, and like she is trying to get some sort of like
Info.
information like out, like she's trying to be like, and here you go, like exhibit A, and like everybody kind of
Yeah.
looks, and
She's
there's
waiting for
no
Kane to be like,
read.
"Mhm."
I don't know
Exactly.
what he's allowed or not allowed to do. That's what I
Of
was
course,
thinking
I thought
at
it
that
was
moment.
great. I thought it was great
I
that he
bet
was
you.
stoic.
I bet you the producers prep.
They were like, hey,
before
you
they
can't
come
make
in,
a
like you cannot make a move.
But the difference between this, like, and like being like, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a huge difference, right? Like, that
Yeah.
conveys a totally different message to the jury. One of which is beneficial to Jamie. The other one is like, oh, what we,
everybody's still obviously.
Now it's even
not here. We
worse.
cut to 4 different people rolling their eyes. 4
Yeah,
separate
they're-
people went.
yeah,
"Ugh."
yeah, horrible.
Listen,
Horrible.
I agree with you. It was horrible. And this is also going to be mean to Jamie, but I'm kind of off discussing the Jamie train because I think she's got no. I think she has no chance. I mean,
Well,
I
that's
think
how
you
we
guys
got
are-
back into this. Was we're talking about who has a chance and who doesn't have a chance.
Okay,
to-
so I
to, uh,
apologize for missing out, but I don't know, guys.
It was actually kind of pleasant, to be honest with you.
oh
I mean,
Wow.
I love you, buddy, but like, it was kind of nice. I could hear my own thoughts.
were you still ranting about Carolyn winning?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
he
You
did.
can
And
you can
even
catch that
said-
in
he even said-
post.
He even said Kale's not gonna like this one.
Yeah, but he's not here.
Yeah,
Is he?
You got away scot free.
Himself.
You got away
He's not
scot free.
here.
Listen, I don't know. I mean, Jam had a personal cut portion of tonight's episode when they were talking about the letters.
Mhm.
I don't think really anybody has chance outside of that Tika 3. We've beaten this we've beaten this every single week. We've beaten it like a drum, like a bum
Look,
bum bum, like bum bum
I
bum.
just don't think that you can count Danny out. I think he could win some challenges. I think he could play a few weeks where he skirts under the radar.
It's
If
just
he
not
wins
the
that
edit.
final-
It's
If
not
he
the
wins
edit though.
that final 4, challenge, then it's
What you're
I
saying
don't think
for
he's
what
getting
you're
there.
saying for a path makes sense, Sim. Like no doubt.
I think he has a reasonable path, is what I'm saying. I'm not
Yes.
saying that he has high odds, and he's not going to be my winner.
I
pick.
think
I'll
I
give you
think he
little
has a
hints
better
now,
path
but-
than anybody else, to be honest with you. Because if Carolyn really does, act real upset next week and try to make a big move against Jam Jam and Carson, Danny's path clears up even that more, even that much
Yeah.
more, I should say.
Yeah,
Well,
if he
now-
can get
yeah.
one of them, that would be huge for him.
1,000,000%. But he's getting an edit that was, alluded to more in focus last week, where he's the bad guy. He's being villainized a little bit.
Yeah, but we've seen bad guys win.
No,
Bad
but
guys
like
win the game
I'll
sometimes.
always point to this. Wendell's first season,
Yeah.
in Ghost Island, fantastic edit. The good guy edit was fantastic. It
Chill.
was awesome.
Very chill.
And I don't want to say Dom was villainized, but definitely a little bit more so than Wendell was. But he was put up on a pedestal a little bit, and it came to fruition. He won the game. Winners at War, he was villainized to no end. He was had the whole dating situation with Michelle.
It
Yeah.
looked like he was like bullying her at points.
Yeah, yes, it got to a point to where it was a little bit too weird, because we had been shown a character of Wendell that was a lot nicer a little bit in
Yeah.
his previous season. Anyways, my point to pointing that out is that almost often they want to parade around at least something that's
Redeemable.
that's heroizing. I'm making
That's
up
to
words.
get the
left
audience
and
to be
right.
like, yeah, I like this guy. I'm happy he won.
Hero-fying,
propping
hero-fying.
propping
fucking
somebody,
whatever.
just propping them up as like somebody to like
A redeeming
root for.
quality.
Yes.
Something
Yeah.
redeeming about
I
him.
don't know if Danny's really gotten that this season. I mean,
I will say, from having conversations with people, outside of this podcast who watch the show a lot more casually, I've had multiple people be like, I really don't like Danny.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Jen, who watches the episodes with me for most of the
Yeah.
season, she's out in the living room. I sit her on the couch while we record these. She's not happy with Danny. She does not like Danny. She's like, I want him gone.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
No, but if
And this is her first season watching.
yeah, but
show.
if anybody's latching onto the Carolyn mindset, yeah, they want Danny gone. She's wanting Danny gone on the island months last summer when they were recording. She's and she can't like imagine what the audience is sitting here thinking about.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
Well, what do
haven't
you think-
given him much good
Kale,
things.
do you
But I mean, I don't think people really liked. I don't know the people. Did Tony have anything that redeeming his first season?
I mean they
He got him
paraded
done.
around his spy shacks and made a big goof, and it
Yeah,
was
I guess
fun,
they made him
loving.
into like a funner
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
You're right.
He definitely had a much more realistic, like down to earth, redeemable edit in Winners at War. He was not as over the top,
versus Kageon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%. And then he was given
probably played
and
more
then he
over the
was
top
given
than
a really
Kageon.
crazy edit in Game
Yeah.
Changers.
Yeah. But okay, I wanted to bring up, you're right, Kale. You bring up an interesting point that like the person who has been on the Danny train longest, I think, as far as like consistency goes throughout this post merge has been Carolyn, right? And we know she's hiding something in her pocket, right? Is this setting up potentially the move that we keep talking about, the move that we keep hoping for? Is Danny gonna succumb to this Carolyn idol? Is that possible?
Well, but to me, that functions in a manner where Jam or Carson gets sniped next week, and mitigates the fact that I still think that those two have the biggest winning opportunity if they're sitting at Final Tribal. So let's say one of those two get voted out. Carolyn's biggest chance of winning is by utilizing it to get out Danny. But here's the thing, though, guys. Like, I am also of the mindset that Carolyn only successfully plays this idol if it's on someone else. I don't think this woman's going to get a vote.
Yeah, she's gonna have to play it on somebody else. I think.
I don't think anybody views her as anything. It's really sad because I do think that she's
That's not
playing.
true. That's what. Okay, so that's something that you
I think
mitten
that's not true. But I do.
That's-
agree with
What?
you
She
that I
hasn't
think
gotten a
she has to
vote
play somebody.
yet.
No. But this is what you
Yeah,
you
but
missed
neither has Carson.
Okay, yeah, but you would say Carson's led 5 votes already.
No, but Kale, what you
Yeah.
missed while you were gone doing who knows what, just completely leaving
Yeah.
your duties here and just being
I'm
negligent.
sorry.
I heard
What-
you
I'm
taking a
sorry.
shower. Honestly.
Yeah.
I may have. It was.
Um, what you
It was
missed though is
Survivor
that
smelling over here.
there were really good quotes about Carolyn coming from Franny. Obviously, Franny went home, but Franny does respect Carolyn. You've been saying
Now,
no, but what do you mean now? What does now mean?
the first episode of anything.
Fran showed us that though for the first time.
What?
That had to have been building for. She didn't just suddenly one week.
No, she had said.
I don't
she had
know.
said she did.
No.
She said she has an older confessional.
No.
A couple of episodes she does where she says good things about Carolyn. But what I'm saying is, Kale, you've been saying nobody has respect for Carolyn. Nobody has respect. We have a confessional saying, and Timmy and I already talked about this, so sorry for everybody listening. I just have to
but
talk to
okay,
Kale.
but okay, I get what you're saying. I understand
Respect.
the confessional, but what's your point in that argument?
My point is that what you're saying.
That person that had her respect is gone.
Yeah, that Franny's a locked vote. If
That is
Locked.
so
Mixed to the
wrong. That is
Okay,
so
we'll
wrong.
see.
I also don't agree with
Okay.
Toast here.
I
Yeah,
think
it's fine.
I think Franny is a potential return character because I think she's smart enough and she was a great challenge threat. One, and I
Yeah.
think that
What does that have to do with this?
that she'll respect gameplay. Carolyn, up to this point,
That's what I
has
mean.
done nothing.
Wait,
she
but
has
this-
not
Franny is a
done
ga- is a
anything.
gameplay
Wait,
nut.
wait,
She's a student
wait.
of the game.
There's people. Listen, what are you talking about? She started playing tonight. Apparently, she should have been playing the whole damn time. That's what she said. She goes, "Oh, this is the first time that I can put my social skills to the test." Franny, you had all these weeks. You should have been doing it before. Like, you don't admit that you're just starting now. The second you don't have the immunity immunity necklace. What I'm trying to say though, Kale, is that like if she's somebody that says I respect authenticity, then she's gonna find a way to vote for Carolyn. Whether that be through gameplay that Carolyn exhibits, or whether that is a way that she describes her journey at the final tribal, she respects authenticity. She respects Carolyn. I don't think it's that hard to say.
Jam and Carson has not been authentic.
It's not about other people not being authentic. It's about Franny noticing and respecting the authenticity that Carolyn shows.
But
That's what I'm saying.
I understand your point, but I still think she needs something tangible. Carolyn
That's
still up
fine.
to this point has not done anything
But
tangible.
Gabler threw
Gabler did nothing, but he was up against two other people that did nothing as well.
Sure. Well, that's arguable. But what I'm saying is Gabler threw Chum in the water, basically saying, I did this move, right? And everyone's like, he did do that, right? We can all get behind that. Like that's more or less what it felt like to me is like
Toast.
people are more forgiving when it comes to who to vote for when they want to vote for that
They'll
person.
talk themselves into something.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
Even if I agree with you
Sure.
that Franny's a locked vote for Carolyn, which I don't agree with necessarily, but
You don't
even if
have
she
to.
Is, I think that's their only vote.
She has 2 votes. Franny has 2 votes in the game and out of the game. And Maddie's
You're
voting
right,
alongside.
She doesn't matter, but that's 2 votes. I just don't. I don't see it. And that I was.
They potentially
I
might
was
have
really-
3
I was
after
really
Ponderosa's
positive.
all said and done.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think the problem is that I don't know. I was very positive on Carolyn early in the game. I just don't really see it now, especially with Carson and Jam Jam still in the game. But
Yeah, sure.
we're getting towards the end of our time. Let's do our stock
Yeah.
report and our winner picks going forward here. Kale, you were out of the episode, so let's hear from you.
Yeah, Kale, get
first.
involved.
I want to hear you
Sorry.
speak a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I don't know if did either of you. I just want to hear your 2 global thought process on where you situate on Jam Jam. Did you guys talk about that?
No, we leave
Not
Jam
really,
Jam to
no.
you. We know you're the Jam Jam guy.
But I want to hear your feedback. 'Cause
Okay, so here's my thing. I'll talk about it right away because I was thinking about this. I wanted to talk about this in my stock report.
Here we go.
I just don't see a path for Jam Jam that Carson can't execute better on. I think Jam Jam
Well, yeah,
has had way more visibility.
Yeah,
I
but all
think-
you're saying is that if Carson's sitting next to him, he loses. Is what you're saying, and that is in layman's.
Not only that, but I think Carson has a better chance of getting into Final 3 than Jam Jam does.
Yeah, but for argument's sake, it could come down to a fire. But I guess you're just trying to say either way, Carson.
I just
Carson
mean
plays
that I
out
think-
better than
I
Jam
think,
Jam.
Yeah. I think from an EV perspective, Carson has a better shot of getting there and winning when he's there. And so yes, I do think Jam Jam can make some great arguments, especially if it's him versus a Jamie and a Lauren. You know what I mean? or whomever, or even him versus a Danny and a Jamie or something. But I just don't know that he has.
Just throw a
as strong of
Jamie in there.
Might as well.
I think
We
she's
ran
there.
on her enough.
That's one other thing I want. I think Jamie is in finals.
You
Well,
said
I mean,
it, and I tend to agree with you. Once
if
you
I'm on
said
the
it,
beach, I'm doing everything I can to get her in that final three. Honestly,
Yeah, but no one can even talk about the idol being fake because that's Matt. That's long gone.
yeah, no one knows.
But if Jamie's in the final three, based on the edit that she's getting, the odds of somebody finding out and revealing that from the jury is high in my perspective.
Yeah, they might figure that out on Ponderosa.
Of like figuring it out on
Which
Ponderosa
could be
and Kane
fun,
be like,
yeah.
"Hey, by the way, your idol was fake, so I saved you technically."
yeah.
But look, I think yes, Jam Jam, I think wins against a lot of other players. I just think Carson has the better path and the better, final tribal.
Kale, I like Jam Jam. I've never been anti what you're saying about Jam Jam. I think he has such a good way with words in
Yeah,
how he speaks
totally.
to a group. And I originally thought maybe Carson would have a better way of speaking to a group, but I feel like I've come a little bit round on this, that I think that Jam Jam captivates his audience. He does this really good thing where he will talk and say something that may draw attention to him, and then he immediately hits the crowd with a zinger that is self-deprecating. So he's very comfortable in his own skin. He's very comfortable with how he's portraying himself, and he always does a really good job to undermine himself right at the perfect time to make it seem like, oh, I'm just here for a good time. I'm just here for a laugh. He's the class clown, but he also is, I don't know what the analogy is or what the metaphor
great
is.
comment in Tribal where he's like,
He's
you
not
do a
lacking
couple
in
of things and
strategic.
suddenly
I don't
you
think
look
he's
like a great
lacking in the
player.
strategic
I don't need to
department.
worry
either.
about
I don't
it.
have to
I
worry
keep
about
losing.
that. You're
I keep
right.
losing.
And
I
everyone
think that was a
laughs
great
like, oh,
comment.
yeah, that's Jam Jam for you, But
Yeah.
you're right. That's exactly the comment that I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
were you saying?
yeah, I mean, you guys know my thoughts on Jam Jam. I agree with you. I think he's persuasive. I think if he got to final tribal, he'd be more persuasive than a large majority of the group. I think.
Mhm.
I think Carson tends to stumble on his words a little bit. We know Heidi three episodes in a row is stumbling all over the place.
All over the
Unfortunately,
place. Yeah.
because I do think that she has this stroke of independence that she could do better.
Kale's doing the podcast on his own because we talked about it. We did this, Simi, right?
I love that when we had the same.
No, in a
idea,
good
we
way,
might
Kale.
stick around.
Oh.
In a good way.
yeah.
Sorry.
Listen,
keep
listen,
going.
But
Go.
but she keeps stumbling on herself,
Yes.
and but
We said she's independent at the wrong times.
yes,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and in a group when she doesn't need to be.
all
But
right. So then
Kale,
last,
Kale, I have to ask you if Carson and Jam Jam are in the final three together, who do you think wins that?
I think that I think that's a heavyweight bout. I think that's a heavyweight bout. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
that's what we were just dipping our toes into, Simi. Like, who's gonna persuade, who's gonna do a better job in that way.
I want to know an answer from you guys.
No,
Because
Jam
I'm
Jam.
picking Carson
I'm
in
still
that- in that.
I'm still picking Jam
Okay.
Jam. I'm still picking Jam Jam.
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate
Carson
your conviction.
Carson had the confessional tonight where he's talking about damage control. And I've tuned into a couple other podcasts in the Survivor hemisphere, and a lot of people have said that Carson put
During
his-
this one,
yeah, I was actually
why you
interviewing.
fucked up.
I was interviewing on another one.
Okay.
No, just in previous weeks that Carson's really put his foot in his mouth. A lot of people view him as having had done that a couple times.
yeah.
Which he
and
has.
listen, the kid is young too. So
Yeah.
What is he, 19, 20?
I forget, but he's young. So in that setting, I do think he's smart, obviously, but in that setting, who knows? So I do think Jam Jam has the upper hand in that department. So
I
just-
just feel like Carson does have this. Sorry to interject right at the end point there.
You're
Kale,
good.
you have a point? Oh, okay. I was gonna say Carson does have this this big hit at the final tribal to be like, by the way, guys, I use my outside skills to help me in the game, and here's how. I'm an aerospace engineer, whatever he is, and I've 3D printed every single puzzle
Yeah.
that Survivor has shown, and I came out here, I used the skills that I had, brought it into the game in more ways than one. Boom, and it's like that's a heavy hitting comment.
Dude, not only that, I think you can even comment in game. If I'm Carson, the speech I'm making is, I got put on a tribe where we
With
were losing
buffoons.
with
Yeah.
everybody, and I had to, and you don't call them buffoons, obviously. but yes, but that's the argument you make. You go, look, I got put, I got put in this situation where I'm in an alliance with two huge personalities, right? We have Jam Jam and Carolyn, huge personalities.
Yeah.
And I had to wrangle these people, and I had the
Yes.
skill to get them in a position where we could play the middle effectively.
Yeah.
Where if I wasn't there, it would have fallen apart. And
100%.
I think
that's a great
a really
argument.
convincing argument if you're up against a Jam Jam in
Yeah.
the final three. I think you make that argument regardless, but
Listen, and you may actually all make valid points, and like I said, I do think it'll be a heavyweight bout. But I guess a lot of my Jam probability I think lines up with Carson probably not being there with him, probably. So
Yeah.
I do hear all your points, and they're valid. And I do think Carson's a great player, and I think he's got a good chance. So just my last two on the stock report. For whatever reason, I do think that Danny's threat level is diminishing in a fashion where it's almost Xander-like, and they're kind of throwing him to the wind a bit.
It's the we can get you anytime kind of thing.
And that's not a good place to be in, because then they, again, another level where people don't respect your game for whatever fashion. I don't know if that's particularly true, but there's some element of that. Finally, Lauren ticked up in this episode for me. She got a good edit when they were at the sanctuary from, bringing in the home life just to build up her character a little bit. It would not surprise me if there was, to me, it would have to be, I think, a Lauren, Jamie, Heidi, Lauren, Jamie, Carolyn. I think Lauren could beat Carolyn. I know you probably have thrown
or
a
is
fit
that
of
is
me
the
saying
Lauren
that,
a
but
Kane edit though?
What'd you say?
Is the Lauren a Kane edit?
No, she very well might be. She very well might be. I'm just trying to pinpoint, because I don't think Jamie has a chance. I don't think Heidi has a chance, and
Say it.
I really don't think Carolyn has a chance.
I think that's crazy. You
Other
can't...
than her idol.
I'm slowly but surely moving more towards Kale on this toast.
Toast,
Go
she
for it. I love it. I
Toast,
want to
her
be on an
only
island.
chance is to play this idol. Do you agree or
fine.
not agree with
Sure,
that?
it'll still
But
be
she's
a
never,
monumental
Kale's
move.
point is an important one where she's never going to play it on herself.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Who cares? If she plays it correctly, it's fine.
Oh,
If she
absolutely,
does,
absolutely.
if she
But that's
does,
a whole
yeah.
other ball game when you have to figure that
That's
all that out. The
difficult.
logistics
Sure,
of
but
that are
it's
mess that up all
difficult.
the time.
It's the logistics get easier as the heads that you could play it on
Yes.
get fewer.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
but
Well, Kale,
regardless,
so it sounds like your winner pick, Kale, is Jam.
Jam Jam.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's fair.
All right.
That's good.
Toast, let's throw it to you. What's your stock report?
Stock report. I think Heidi and Danny are going down. I think Heidi is, like we said, independent in the wrong ways. She's not differentiating her game from Danny other than voting for him roguely with no cover. Keeps betraying the person that says, hey, I'm on your side. I don't know why, but she keeps doing it. I think she wants to separate herself. But in this moment, I don't think anyone would believe that she separated herself if she tried to convince them that she operated in a different way than Danny. And I think that she's only hurting herself because Danny won't trust her anymore. At a certain point, Danny's going to be like, what the hell is going on, Heidi? Why are we not on the same page? Yeah, go.
I do like the raised hand.
It's beautiful.
You have much more faith in, I don't know if that's even correct English. You have a lot more faith in Carolyn playing her hidden idol in a more
Meaningful
strategic
way.
fashion than Heidi.
I think
Honestly, I might actually think that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say,
But I don't think there's
yes.
evidence either way, to be honest.
I think Heidi made some tactical blunders that I think.
Yeah,
will
I don't
indicate
see Heidi's path in a
potential
way
mistakes.
that's convincing, and I don't know what she wants to happen. I don't know what she wants. Oftentimes, she wants something and then strategically operates against it, which is what we've talked about in the past episode when she had a really good plan and then she just undermined it by revealing information about her number one ally, exposing his idol, and then just doing something that is totally different that she didn't need to do and could have done the other thing that she originally wanted. I don't know what she wants. She doesn't know what she wants.
I'm with you. And this is my last point on being the devil's advocate with Carolyn. In order to play an idol successfully, you need to have some depth of knowledge about
Sure.
everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
I think she severely lacks going into almost every tribal what the bigger picture is.
Sure, that's fine. But in the same breath, this might sound tangential, but in the same breath, it does undermine Carson's argument that Simi brought up by saying, I kept everyone in line of these two. And people could be like, well, Carolyn voted different every single time. So what are you talking about? You know? So just another little point to throw in there. It works both ways, is what I'm trying to say. But I wanted to bring up, I know Franny went home, but I think she did do something interesting. I like when people, and it doesn't happen too often, mostly because we don't really have these reward challenges where you can pick a bunch of people as much anymore. But I like that she said, I'm bringing the moms, you know, and like gave a
Great, I
Picked a
reason,
agree.
category.
picked a category. And then if you do that, it's not like personal, it goes across alliances. It doesn't, it's sort of like a get out of jail free card, right? To be like, hey, like we can all agree on this, right? You guys who were staying at the camp, right? We can all agree,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's a good strategy move. Didn't work out for her,
And
but I
you've
think
seen
it's a
people
good thing to
do
think.
stuff similar to that when they're like, hey, you know, so and so has never gotten a food challenge. I'm gonna pick. them."
Yeah.
And then, like,
But
stuff
how
like
often does that then coincide with their, number one alliance
Agreed.
member?
that.
You know?
Agreed.
Listen,
Uh,
one point before you close it off here. I don't know if we spoke about it or not. One of the biggest catalysts in this episode really may have been Carson's damage control with Jamie, because Jamie's whole domino effect of talking about the idol all really spawned from getting kicked into gear. That, listen, I was told by Kane that you had an idol and I couldn't trust him, and I just wanted to let you know that. And Jamie seemed to be very, very appreciative of that. In which point, I think Jamie situated herself with Carson with the vote. That's what ended up happening, because at the end of the day, these 5 women, they could have voted in any way they wanted to if they all combined forces. They just didn't. And
Yeah.
Lauren and Jamie were big factors in joining up with Jam Jam and Carson and Danny. But that may have been a big factor here. Carson getting in Jamie's ear. And again, her whole thing with the idol, the whole episode really spawned from that conversation. I
I think that's a great point. I think that is probably what ended up making her do that. I think that's a good catch on that. Toast, I want to ask before we
Sure.
finish up here. Winner pick, is it Carolyn?
Carolyn, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a Jam, we've got a Carolyn. I agree with a lot of the stuff you guys said. I agree that his odds are very low, but I do think that this is a positive week for Danny versus last week.
Oh no, here we go. He's going home next week.
And
no,
I
you're
want-
not saying winner pick.
No, he's not my
Yeah,
winner pick.
yeah.
He's not my
The
winner
person
pick.
he does pick though is going home next week.
Oh gosh.
This has only happened one time.
I'm just saying.
This only happened one time. I think that this has opened the opportunity for him to hopefully win more challenges from his perspective. I know he can't really close, but it has opened up a big door. And I think he has some people where like he could continue to work. I could see him continuing to work with Lauren, and I do think that Carson likes working with Danny. But maybe I'm
I think
reading into that
we're
too much.
picking Tika all around here. I think we're picking
No,
each Tika.
but I'm picking Carson as my winner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we're all
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We're all
Yeah,
saying the
so-
same thing, just in different ways.
It's a Tika. Imagine a Tika finale.
Yeah.
But
That would be fun.
That's pretty good.
that would be really fun. But I think I agree with everything else you guys said, though. I think it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Well, another great conversation, boys. Appreciate you guys.
My favorite
joining.
part was when Kale wasn't here.
Oh, brutal.
For the record, put that on the record.
Yeah.
Brutal. What I will say is that I do think the season is just more full. Last
Yeah.
season we just went into lull after lull after
This
lull.
week, something's happening every week.
Yeah, it's just
there's stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's just full. It's they did a good job of a rebound season, so hopefully they do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Okay,
is,
sorry.
honestly, the best season by far out of the last 4. I mean,
Yes.
far and away. It could be a dud for the rest, and I'd be so happy with this season.
Don't
Well, I
say
hope
that
not.
stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
say
yeah.
that stuff.
No, it's not.
Why would you? It's happening next week, apparently now. You know.
Oh God! All right. Well, if you guys are listening on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. Get down in the comments. Let us know what your winner pick is. We're happy to debate you down there in the comments. But other than that, boys, I'll see you next week. Peace.